Welcome to the Last Talk Show. Tonight we're talking with Ken Babbs, original Merry Prankster, about the Grateful Dead as we get ready to watch Sunshine Daydream.
All the way from the island of Nantucket, Massachusetts, it's the Last Talk Show. The Last Talk Show.
Greetings from Nantucket. We're thrilled you could join us for Deadness Day nights at the drive-in.
Good to be here, finally.
Let's start with a little history. You came up with a name for the Merry Pranksters. Just give our audience a little bit of a dummy's guide for the Merry Pranksters and what they did, what they mean, what they are.
Okay, well, the Merry Pranksters came about a bunch of friends of Ken Kesey and mine that we all got together all the time. And one time we were all at Kesey's house at La Honda, California, up on the ridge between Palo Alto and the ocean. And Kesey and his brother Chuck and I, we left and went out to the ocean and looked out over the ocean for a while and then came back. And as we got out of the car, Mike Hagan yelled, "Halt, who goes there?" And I yelled back, "'Tis I, the intrepid traveler, come to lead my merry band of pranksters across the country and back in the reverse direction of the settlers." And so that from that moment on, we became the Merry Pranksters, the merry band of pranksters.
Ken had done some LSD CIA funded experiments in the early 60s. How did LSD go from those CIA funded things into your knowledge? Where did they come into your view, and what were those first trips like?
Well, the experiments that Kesey did were at the VA hospital in Menlo Park. And after they were over, Kesey got a job there as an aide. And he was sitting up in this little room looking down at the day room where all the patients were. And there was a door to an office, and he realized that was the office of the doctor that had done the experiments with LSD that he had gotten in on. And he went over the wall and took some keys down off the keys there and found one that opened the office. And he went in there and prowled around and opened a desk drawer. And there was a bottle of 500 capsules of pure LSD, Sandoz Laboratory LSD. And so he pocketed them and took them home. And then that's how we all turned on to LSD the first time.
So what was the first trip like?
It's hard to remember way back when, but it was both an inward experience and an outward experience. It went on for like 10 or 12 hours. Yeah, it was wonderful and psychedelic as hell.
The Merry Pranksters meet the Grateful Dead at some point. You're all in the same scene, and the acid tests were born. Tell us a little bit about that first acid test.
What people call the first acid test wasn't really an acid test. It was a Halloween party at my house in SoCal, California, just east of Santa Cruz. And so all of our friends with Kesey and our friends were all there. And but the Merry Band of Pranksters, we were actually a band. We started out with woodwinds and trombones and brass and drums and stuff like that. But then we got into electric guitars and bass and piano and all that. We didn't know any songs. We just made up our own music. So we were all set up there at my house and getting high, and we went outside to commune with the moon. And when we were out there, we heard this music suddenly start in the house. And we thought, what in the hell's that? And so we went in there, and these guys were all in there playing our instruments. And it was Jerry and Phil and Bobby and Billy were all in there playing. And we had met them earlier, and somehow they had heard that we were having this party, and they came down and joined in with us. Acid tests came right after that, because in 1964, Kesey bought this bus And we drove it to, well, first we painted it all up and put sound system in and then a movie camera and all that. We were going to film and tape the whole thing. The trip to New York and back to go to the publication party of his book, Sometimes a Great Notion. And when we got back, we had a hell of a difficult time with editing. But we would, during the week, Keys and I would edit sections, and on Saturday night, we'd show it there at his house in La Honda. And people started hearing about that in the Bay Area and started showing up on Saturday night. And it just got too much to have that happen at his house. So that's when we started running halls and started calling them the acid test. Can you pass the acid test? Because, you know, it's a funny thing. We never knew who supplied the acid or who did it or anything, but it was always in these two, in this garbage can in the middle of the floor with a sign on it and saying LSD. And then there was another one that said non LSD that just had Kool-Aid in it, plain Kool-Aid in it. And so the band that had played at my house, where they showed up at every one of those, and during one of them, it's one after the acid test is when they were in the kitchen and Jerry got a dictionary and put his finger on a page and a word, and it was the Grateful Dead, and that's how they got their name. And so before that, they were the Warlocks, but after that, they were the Grateful Dead from then on. And they did the acid tests with us all the way to L.A. And by then, Kesey was on the lam because he had been busted for grass, and he jumped bail and skipped out to Mexico.
It feels like we may be back at a moment in history where it's a time for a little bit more of that absurdity and humor and connection. I don't know.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, people are still doing it. Ken Kesey's son Zane took the bus across country and reenacting our original bus trip. And everywhere they went, they found people doing acid tests out in the woods and having bands and staying up all night and high and, you know, keeping the spirit alive.
Just jotted down a quote you had that I liked. I don't know if it's worth bringing up. It doesn't really have to do with the Grateful Dead, but it has to do with the moment we're all in. The real thing about America is freedom. One of the greatest evils is advertising. Free will we're talking about.
I think one of the real curses of America is advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, everything has an ad attached to it. And I've said that if the government would tax every ad 0.01% of a penny, every ad that appears, they have to pay that tax to the federal government. They wipe out the debt in no time.
This feels like a good moment to break for a commercial.
Hey, Nantucket, are you sick of wearing a dumb t-shirt that just sits there and does nothing? Well, good news. The new line of Nantucket summer t-shirts are now available. With 3 great designs, you really have no excuse not to buy at least one of them. Not only will these shirts make you look like a wicked cool player, but just by wearing one, you are buying instruments and supporting music programs for kids who need them. But that's not all these amazing shirts can do, because these shirts can also get you a beer and a lobster roll. These shirts can also slice and dice tomatoes, cure male pattern baldness, eliminate plastics from the oceans, take your family for a safe and fun ride on the back of a whale, and guarantee you a parking spot on Main Street all summer long. Oh, and give you the power of flight. Some, if not most, of the claims made within this commercial are completely false. There is no such thing as free beer and definitely no such thing as a free lobster roll. The new Nantucket t-shirt, available at musack.org. Get yours today.
I did a movie for Netflix called Have a Good Trip, Adventures in Psychedelics. And I interviewed about 100 celebrities just about their experiences. You know, everyone from Sting to Sarah Silverman to Carrie Fisher, you know. Is there one acid tests, acid trip story that is particularly weird or meaningful or odd or funny that you recall?
That's a good question. But, you know, it's like Tim Leary said, if you can remember it, you weren't there.
We're right at the beginning of a new wave of psychedelic understanding and use, and we're getting sort of a second chance at looking at how this stuff can be used for possibly big things, treating PTSD or depression or end of life anxiety and addiction and stuff. Do you have any tips or headlines or warnings for this next group of generation of practitioners in the space?
Well, I think that the thing that is happening now in this line is microdosing. So some people every day, just to give them a lift and to keep them thinking straight, and to also keep their mind clear. And they're not just LSD, but psilocybin, I think, is even better because it's a natural plant, whereas the LSD is manufactured.
When was your last psychedelic experience?
I mean, it's been a while. I haven't gotten really high in a long time. I don't really want to. I mean, I can see it happening maybe as I get older sometime, but not yet.
Leave the psychedelics for your 90s. There's time.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me ask you this. So you have a great book that chronicles a lot of this, called Cronies of Burlesque: Adventures with Ken Kesey, Neil Cassidy, the Merry Pranksters, and the Grateful Dead. First of all, people who have joined us for the movie, you should get the book, read the book. It's a great book. But what is there to be said about the Grateful Dead that hasn't been said already?
They endure. Yes, they're solid. And they'll be around as long as people will be in the Grateful Dead band. Yeah, there's something. It's really a phenomenon. It's really a wonderful phenomenon. The music and Robert Hunter's lyrics, and Jerry when he was playing, and now they're. I mean, it evolves as all things evolve, and this evolution that's going out now is really good, super good.
It's always that thing, you get there and you watch a little bit and then you go like, oh, this looks a little weird. And then the music starts and you're like, oh yeah, it's about the songs and being together, like you said.
It's always been something which was a together scene where people came. The music was the binding force, but it was the togetherness of everybody that was there that was always the thing, and that's still what's happening.
So the movie we're about to watch tonight is Sunshine Daydream, which is the Veneta, Oregon show from 1972. You were there. What do you remember from the show?
Oh, that was one of the greatest concerts ever. It was, I think it was probably the first outdoor concert, big time concert with a band. And what you remember is that the temperature went over 100 degrees that day. And the band, the stage was looking into the sun going down. And as the heat warped all the instruments and the strings got all floppy, and it got really, really weird. And great. Probably they ended up with Dark Star, voted by Relics magazine and other groups the best Dark Star ever, with all their instruments out of tune, and them going and looking into that sun and blinded and sweat pouring off them. Yeah, it was a phenomenon, and all the people there, naked and half naked from the heat, and it ran out. The water truck ran out of water. I was on the stage as the MC on the stage, and Kesey was in the middle at the sound booth, and we had a walkie-talkie, and we'd go back and forth talking, and it would go out over the air over the loudspeakers too. And we were talking about the water, and he said the water truck is empty. People were trying to suck drops out of the spigot and couldn't get anything. So the water truck went in search of water and found this water and came, and they were going to spray this water all over the people. And someone said, no, 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 no. They told them because they had sucked the water out of the place where they had dumped the porta potties. And Kesey said, we came within a hair of spraying the whole crowd with shit water.
Oh my God. Well, thank God somebody remained sane enough to stop it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the film version of it? Like what Sunshine Daydream the film is compared to the actual day?
One of the best shots is that little kid sitting in a tire, and he's eating a cone or something like that. And this dog comes over and starts licking the cone in his hand, and the kid just holds it there in his hand and lets him have it. you know what it captures was, to me, when I look at it, is the spirit of the time, of these people out there. They had a wonderful spirit about them. And to see that movie revives that spirit and gives you a good hit of 1972 Oregon, with Backwoodsy and Townsies and everybody all together there, half naked and having the best times of their lives. And it's a spirit that it. Kesey always says that the true currency of the country is the spirit. When the spirit is high, everybody's doing good, everything's working good and everything, and you know, even troubles and all that, you get through it. But when the spirit goes low, everything's bad and despondent, and you don't have any energy to do anything. So it's really important to keep the spirit up and stay upbeat.
So Ken, thank you for joining us, talking with us. I'm going to give you the last word.
The last word, bird. The bird. Bird is the word. The word is bird.
Perfect. Let's watch the movie. Everybody enjoy Sunshine Daydream.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you very much.